Have you ever felt like no matter how much you grow, evolve, awaken, or heal, there's still something lurking just beneath the surface waiting to pull you back under? Have you ever wondered why, as a dark chosen one, you keep attracting situations, people, even energies that mirror your most painful wounds, your deepest shadows, your rawest fears? You do your work. You show up. You transform. You transmute. But then it returns. Maybe in a new form, maybe through a new face. And it makes you question everything. You wonder, is this karma? Is this a curse? Am I doing something wrong? But what if I told you this isn't punishment? What if the darkness you keep attracting isn't actually hunting you, it's calling you? What if your darkness isn't a trap, but a teacher? Before we go further, let's get something straight. Not everyone's path is designed like yours. The light chosen ones, those who came to raise frequency by embodying joy, peace, and radiant illumination, walk a different road. But dark chosen ones, we came to extract truth from the depths. We came to enter the shadows of humanity, not to be consumed by them, but to redeem them. And because of that, we are calibrated differently. We don't walk away from the dark, we attract it. Not because we love chaos, not because we're broken, but because deep down we are coded to transform it. That means we don't just see shadows in others, we activate them. And the moment you step into any space, the darkness within others begins to stir. Not because you're negative, but because you're real. So here's the first hard truth. You keep attracting darkness because you have the frequency to handle it. The universe doesn't send you what you can't transmute, but it will send you what you haven't yet fully integrated. That's the part no one wants to hear. It's easy to think, why is this happening to me? But the real question, the one that cracks open the soul, is this: what part of me is still resonating with this energy, and what is it trying to reveal? Because the darkness you attract is never random. It's always a mirror, a coded reflection of something within you that is either unhealed, unintegrated, or undiscovered. And it's not about blame, it's about awareness. And that awareness is the key that turns pain into power.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
Let's break it down even deeper. As a dark chosen one, you're not just a person, you're a frequency holder. You carry a vibration that penetrates through illusion, distortion, and denial. And that kind of energy disrupts everything it touches. Think about it. How many times have you entered a relationship, a job, or a spiritual community, and within weeks, the cracks began to show? People start projecting. Secrets come to light. Shadow dynamics rise to the surface. You're not causing chaos, you're revealing it. Your very presence is a spiritual scalpel. And yes, that means the darkness comes for you. Not to destroy you, but to be exposed by you. But if you don't understand this, you'll internalize the attacks. You'll start to believe the lie that you are the problem. And that's the ultimate trap, not the darkness itself, but the belief that you are the darkness. Now, here's where it gets even deeper. The darkness you attract is often ancestral. It's not just yours, it's your bloodlines. It's your soul lineages. It's the collectives. You've been assigned to clear patterns that didn't begin with you, but must end with you. That's why it feels so heavy. That's why it feels like a cycle. Because it is. The dark chosen ones are the cycle breakers. The ones who stop generational trauma, karmic loops, and energetic debts by facing what everyone else denies. And the more you awaken, the more potent your magnet becomes. You start pulling in unresolved energies from every direction: family, friends, lovers, strangers. Why? So they can be processed through your field. So they can be alchemized through your consciousness. And that's not easy. That's not glamorous. But it's sacred. It's holy. It's why you incarnated in the first place. But let's be honest for a moment. It can feel unbearable. You start to feel like a dumping ground for other people's pain. You wonder if you'll ever be free from the shadows you didn't choose. And that's where discernment becomes your weapon. Because not all darkness is yours to carry. Some of it is here to teach you boundaries. Some of it is here to test your sovereignty. Some of it is here to remind you that just because you can feel it doesn't mean you need to absorb it. The dark chosen ones must learn the difference between transmutation and self-destruction. You are not here to drown in the collective wound. You are here to walk on it like water. So how do we begin to shift this pattern? How do we stop attracting darkness that drains us and start attracting darkness that activates us? It starts with full-spectrum self-acceptance. You must stop fearing your own shadow. You must stop dividing yourself into light and dark, good and bad, healed and unhealed. Because the more you reject your inner darkness, the more it will show up outside of you through others, through circumstances, through chaos. Why? Because what you refuse to own internally, the universe will echo externally. But the moment you turn inward and say, I see you, I honor you, I integrate you, the external mirror begins to change. The darkness you attract becomes less chaotic and more intentional, less punishing, more purposeful. You stop drawing in trauma loops and start drawing in sacred challenges that polish your soul like obsidian. And here's the most profound truth. The darkness you keep attracting is not just here to test you, it's here to evolve you. Each encounter is a spiritual initiation. Each shadow is a doorway. Each wound is a sacred scroll, encoded with the exact wisdom you came here to remember. The betrayal? It taught you to trust yourself. The abandonment? It forced you to return to your center. The attack? It revealed where your boundaries needed to be fortified. The chaos? It unlocked your capacity to create order from nothing. You were never just surviving the darkness, you were becoming the master of it. So let me ask you this now. What if your darkness isn't a curse, but a compass? What if it's not trying to destroy you, but redirect you to your truth, your power, your purpose? And what if the reason you keep attracting it is because you're finally ready to face the parts of yourself that were never meant to be hidden? Now that we've peeled back the veil and stared directly into the reason why dark chosen ones keep attracting their own darkness, it's time to move from awareness into mastery. Because once you recognize that the darkness is not there to break you but to build you, everything shifts. This is where the path of the alchemist begins. Not the kind of alchemy people romanticize, the kind filled with glittering crystals and positive affirmations. No, this is the raw, ancient kind. The kind that happens in the caves of the soul, where light is not a glow but a fire forged through pressure, heat, and transformation. This path is brutal in its honesty, but sacred in its reward. It's the journey of learning how to use your darkness, not suppress it, not fear it, not run from it, but wield it with clarity, precision, and love so fierce it burns through everything false. Because the truth is, the reason you keep attracting darkness is not to punish you, it's to awaken your inner alchemist, the sacred part of you that turns poison into power and suffering into sacred service. But here's the paradox. Most people try to do this work by avoiding pain. They think if they keep their vibration high enough, they'll avoid darkness altogether. But that's not the path of the dark chosen one. We don't ascend by bypassing the dark, we ascend by integrating it. Because the deeper your roots go into shadow, the higher your branches can reach into light. If you've been attracting the same kind of pain, the same kind of betrayal, the same kind of chaotic energy over and over again, and that's not failure, that's a loop waiting to be closed. It's a spiritual code that you haven't fully cracked yet. And the moment you do, you don't just break the cycle for yourself, you break it for everyone who came before you. That's the power of the alchemist. You take the wound and you turn it into a blueprint for liberation. But that blueprint comes with a responsibility to stop projecting your darkness outward and start owning it within. This is where so many fall. It's easier to blame the toxic people, the harsh world, the heavy energy. And yes, some of that is real. But the alchemist asks a deeper question. Why did I allow this energy into my field in the first place? What part of me still believed I needed to suffer in order to be powerful? What part of me was addicted to the chaos because it felt familiar, even when it hurt? The moment you start asking those questions, the transmutation begins. You stop being a magnet for pain, and you start becoming a magnet for truth. You stop reacting, and you start responding from mastery. That's when you start walking into rooms and shifting the atmosphere, not because you're loud, but because your presence is now a frequency of integration. And integration is everything. Because the darkness you attract isn't just asking to be pushed away, it's asking to be seen. And not just seen, but understood. Every toxic relationship you've endured, every shadowy figure you've encountered, every energy that tried to break you, each one was an archetype. A reflection of a part of you that was either disempowered, unconscious, or unclaimed. And once you claim it, once you say, yes, I see that part of me, I own it, I love it, and I now choose to evolve it, the need to attract that particular darkness dissolves. It's like a soul contract is completed. And suddenly, what used to haunt you becomes what guides you. What used to trigger you now teaches you. What used to repeat itself now releases itself. So how do we live this alchemy in real time? How do we stop attracting darkness reactively and start engaging with it consciously? It starts with radical embodiment. That means you stop outsourcing your power. You stop waiting for someone else to give you closure, validation, or permission. You go within, into the dark temple of your being, and you find the gold for yourself. You sit with your pain and you ask it what it's trying to teach you. You sit with your rage and you let it show you where your boundaries need reinforcement. You sit with your shame and you ask it what truth it's been hiding. Every part of you becomes a teacher. Every shadow becomes a sacred text. And you become the one who reads it with reverence, not resistance. Here's where it gets mystical. The more you do this, the less the darkness controls you, and the more you begin to shape reality. You'll start to notice that your energy field becomes magnetic, but not to chaos anymore, but to powerful initiations. You'll attract people who challenge you, yes, but in ways that sharpen you, not drain you. You'll attract situations that stretch you, but in ways that expand your mastery, not collapse your nervous system. Because now, your field is no longer an open wound, it's a living portal of transformation. And that portal doesn't just shift your life, it shifts the lives of everyone you touch. So let me ask you something you've probably never dared to ask yourself. What if the darkness you keep attracting is actually your soul calling you home to the parts of yourself you've abandoned, denied, or feared? And what if your purpose isn't to escape that darkness, but to become the one who walks through it, lights a torch, and leads others out? Because that's what the alchemist does. That's what the dark chosen one was born for. Not to be swallowed by the dark, but to rise from within it, crowned not in gold, but in truth. And when you live like that, when you become that, everything changes. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And you start asking, what is this calling me to become? You stop fearing your shadow and start partnering with it. You stop attracting chaos from a place of unconsciousness and start summoning transformation through intention. You become less reactive, more sovereign. Less confused, more clear. Less fragmented, more whole. And the world around you begins to mirror that wholeness. Because in the end, the darkness was never your enemy. It was your initiation. It was your invitation. It was your sacred forge. And now you are no longer just someone who survives it. You are the one who wields it. This is the moment where everything comes full circle. Because once you've walked deep into the underworld of your own being, once you've faced the shadows you once feared, once you've transmuted the poison into purpose, you begin to see the final mirror. And that mirror is not outside of you anymore. It's you. It's your own reflection, not distorted by wounds or projections, but clarified by embodiment. You've become the master of the very darkness that used to control you. And now, instead of attracting it unconsciously, you engage it with clear vision. You no longer see darkness as the enemy. You see it as a tool, an ancient force that, when honored, becomes the very crucible that sharpens your soul. You've stopped running. You've stopped reacting. You've stopped blaming. And instead, you've become the mirror that teaches others how to see themselves. You've become the walking paradox, still, yet powerful, silent, yet piercing, deep, yet grounded. A being who no longer needs to announce their presence, because your energy speaks in frequencies only the awake can hear. At this point, the world doesn't change for you, it changes through you. You've become a living field of resonance. And that resonance doesn't just repel distortion, it dissolves it. Why? Because you've integrated it within. The final mirror shows that what once triggered you no longer hooks you. What once drained you no longer enters your field. You've learned how to read energy not from fear, but from sovereignty. You walk through rooms and your aura does the work. You don't fight the darkness anymore, you redirect it. You alchemize it. You hold it in your field, like a master holds a flame close enough to feel its heat, but never again to get burned. And from this place you realize Every dark thing you ever attracted was not a curse, it was a classroom. Every betrayal was a teacher. Every loss was a recalibration. Every shadow was a map. And now, you carry those maps in your bones. You don't need to memorize them, you are them. You've become the sacred cartographer of your own soul. But mastery is not the end, it's the beginning of deeper service. Because once you've mastered your shadow, the question becomes, what will you do with your power now? Will you hide it? Hoard it? Or will you offer it as medicine? Will you become a guide for others still lost in the dark? Will you teach them not by preaching, but by existing as proof that it's possible to survive the storm and become the calm within it? Will you show others that you can stand in the fire and become the fire, that you can stare into the abyss and return with wisdom? Because that's the final gift of the dark chosen one, not just to save yourself, but to become a living portal for others to remember their own light hidden in darkness. Not by rescuing them, but by reflecting their essence so clearly they can no longer deny it. And this is where the world begins to shift around you. Not because you forced it to, but because you stopped resisting who you are. You became so real, so integrated, so embodied, that the world had no choice but to respond to your vibration. You stopped attracting chaos because there was no longer chaos within. You stopped being a magnet for trauma because you stopped believing you needed pain to evolve. You stopped calling in enemies because you stopped being at war with yourself. And in that stillness, that knowing, that unnamed power, you became untouchable, not because nothing could reach you, but because nothing could distort you anymore. You were no longer a sponge, you became a frequency generator. And in that frequency, the final mirror reveals itself. You are both the shadow and the light, the destroyer and the rebuilder, the wound and the wisdom. So now I ask you, from the deepest place, are you finally ready to stop fearing your own capacity? Are you finally ready to stop dimming your fire just because others can't stand the heat? Are you ready to stop attracting darkness as a reminder of your strength and start walking in that strength so clearly that only truth can exist around you? Because that's what the final mirror reflects. Not what you've survived, but what you've become. And what you've become is a master of energies, a sovereign soul, an awakened force, not perfect but whole, not invincible but immovable, not above pain but beyond manipulation. You are a dark chosen one, not by accident, but by design. And you were never meant to be consumed by your darkness. You were meant to command it. This is why you kept attracting your own darkness. Not to break you, but to build you into a being that could no longer be broken. Not to test your limits, but to show you that you have none. Not to punish you, but to prepare you for the level of soul impact you came here to make. And now that you've seen all that you are, all that you carry, all that you've overcome, the only question left is, what will you do with the power you've earned? Because now it's no longer about escaping the dark. It's about becoming the force that transforms it. You are the final mirror, the storm and the still point, the shadow and the sovereign who commands it. And this right here is where your real mission begins.